Hey everyone. Alright, so I wanted to make a video talking about films 1 and 2 of the Rurouni Kenshin live action trilogy. Of course, I haven't seen the third movie yet, but I'm very much looking forward to that. But in anticipation of that, and the fact that I have recently got the second one and have recently watched the second one, I thought it'd be nice to do a video talking about the series so far. I'm lucky, as I said, I'm lucky enough to own the Blu-ray steelbooks for both films 1 and 2, and these I found quite by chance actually, because I've recently became a fan of the Rurouni Kenshin series. It started when a friend bought me one of the books as a Christmas present, and you know, I had the book for the longest time without even reading it. It just got put away in a box, but I went away on holiday and I was thinking about taking a book with me, and I just spotted that and decided to take that with me and read it and really got into it, and then went online and got the Visbig 3-in-1. I've got it here. Rather than getting the individual volumes, you know, I got the big 3-in-1 edition, so volumes 1 to 3. This is really good. I'm nearly finished this actually, but yeah, I've really enjoyed reading through this, and of course I've gotten the anime series, and of course I'm in the middle of watching through that, all 96 episodes of it. And of course I got the four animated movies as well, the Samurai X 4-movie collection that follows on from the TV show. But so I have seen quite a few adaptations of the Rurouni Kenshin story, obviously book form, anime series form, anime movie form, and now of course the live action movies. But yeah, I was just looking on Amazon to see what they had in the way of movies, and of course found this movie 1. I got this at the end of last year, and I was really impressed with this. I loved this movie. This is great. I couldn't believe it because when it comes to live action adaptations of stuff like this, be it comics or even TV shows or even video games, you know, you've always got to be worried. I think it does set alarm bells ringing, you know, because you think, Jesus Christ, how long's it going to be before this falls off dives head first off a cliff? Jesus Christ, because some adaptations can be disastrous, of course, but this one was a genuine surprise. This was brilliant. Of course, this is the movie that introduces us to Kenshin and sets everything up, you know, how he meets Kaoru and Yahiko and Sanosuke. And of course the basic premise of this movie is they are all team up to, well, there's an A plot and a B plot, isn't there? A, we're taking down a drug lord who's plotting to form his own private army and take down the Meiji government and seize control of Japan. And also Kurugasa, Ginny, he is of course masquerading as Hitakiri Batasai. He's essentially the fake Batasai because of course he took Kenshin's sword at the Battle of Tubo Fushimi, and of course he's going round on this massive killing spree, so of course it's up to Kenshin to stop him as well, and which he does in quite spectacular fashion. And that brings me to the fight sequences in this movie. Jesus Christ, right? This is up there with The Raid in terms of choreographed fight. This is basically The Raid with swords. That it really is. The fight sequence, how impressive, and the actors involved, the time and effort they've put into it really is amazing to watch. It really, really is. And of course, this movie, well, like the second one, is very action heavy. But the way they keep the fight sequences imaginative and fresh, you don't get bored of the action in this movie. And that can be a skill and an achievement in itself. I mean, fair enough if your movie's going to have one or two major action scenes, but this one, the action's pretty regular. And keeping it from getting boring, they've done a really good job. It is one of the highlights of both movies 1 and 2. The action sequences, absolutely brilliant. And the acting, the casting of the actors in these movies has been right on. Because, of course, obviously, I'm still a relative novice when it comes to, well, getting out of that phase now, but I'm still relatively new to Rurouni Kenshin. Obviously, I haven't watched the whole TV show, I haven't read all the books, far from it, but I really think all the actors do a good job of portraying their respective characters, like Takeru Sato playing Kenshin. He's brilliant, and I read somewhere that Nobuhiro Watsuki, who is the writer of the books, he was very happy with the choice of Takeru Sato to play Kenshin. So that's always a good sign. If the creator of the original source material's happy, that can give you some high hopes going into the movie. The actress playing Kamiya Kaoru, she's really good. It's surprising how much of a strong performance she gives in both movies. Sagara Sanosuke, the actor playing him, really good. In terms of Yahiko, because in film 2 they changed the actor. Now, personally, I prefer the actor in the first movie, but the actor in the second movie still does a reasonable job. But we'll get to that. But I've got to say, do you know who my favourite character in terms of the heroes in both movies? The actor playing Sato Hajime, he is fantastic. He is the Harry Callahan of this series of films. He is a complete badass. Honestly, he is awesome. In both movies, he is my favourite character, I think. Honestly, from the first time I saw the first movie, as soon as I saw this guy, I was like, this guy, he is the man. He really is. But yeah, he's Dirty Harry in a sense. He's Rurouni Kenshin's answer to Harry Callahan. And he is just so much of a badass. And yeah, there's a scene where he throws down with Kenshin at one point. And yeah, he lays the smackdown on Kenshin. Admittedly, Kenshin isn't obviously going at, his full speed. He isn't. It's not. It's not a proper fight. It's more a one-sided beatdown because obviously Kenshin doesn't want to fight him. So obviously he's just doing the bare minimum. Throwing like blocking and no offense, just trying to evade Sato's attacks. But yeah, I genuinely think Sato Hajime, he's probably the only person who could kick Kenshin's ass. He really, I think. But that's no discredit or insult to Kenshin, because Sato Hajime is awesome. As awesome as Kenshin is, Sato has it, I think. Certainly as far as I'm concerned. Obviously, you may disagree, you may be right to disagree, but we don't know. Yeah, but this movie, Rurouni Kenshin, the first movie, it does a really good job of setting this trilogy up, because when you watch this movie, you can see the amount of effort that's gone into it. You know, you can see. I've been saying this quite regularly about a lot of films, but it's no less true in this case, that you can tell everyone involved really wanted to make this movie. It wasn't thrown together to make money. It wasn't, it wasn't an obligation piece or anything. It's something the studio thought they'd throw together and dish out. You can tell everyone involved was a fan of the original source material, and given that how popular the Rurouni Kenshin manga is, that's understandable. And I think the studio, obviously Warner Brothers, is responsible for this. I think they appreciated that if they were going to adapt this source material, they had to do it right because of how popular it is. I don't think anyone would have ever forgiven them if they got it wrong. And as far as I'm concerned, they've done the best job possible, right? And I'm not just saying that because when I went into this movie, I went in obviously back in at the end. It was the end of last year, so obviously I was a newcomer to the Rurouni Kenshin stuff. I didn't really have any agenda, I didn't go into it wanting to hate it. I didn't go into it, wanting to oh, no matter what, I'm gonna like this movie anyway. No, this movie I genuinely went in cold. Didn't really know much about the series at that point, but this just blew me away. Surpassed all my expectations. Yeah, really, really good. And I would recommend this. I honestly, I like how serious and dark these movies get, because of course the manga and the the anime did have their dark and serious moments, but it was much more light-hearted, except for Samurai X Reflection, the final of the 4 animated movies that followed the TV show. My god, that gets really sad. I couldn't believe. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to spoil it. I do like it, but my god, it's so sad. So yeah, I mean, it's not completely light-hearted, the anime stuff, but obviously, I think it had to be that way, because I think obviously when you do a live action of something, sometimes the stuff, the comedic aspects of anime don't often translate very well to live action, but they have managed to keep some of the comedy in it. They haven't lost that. I do think it's very much in keeping with the spirit of the manga and the anime. So even though it's on a more grander scale, a more epic scale, a darker tone, it does still have that spirit of Rurouni Kenshin. So yeah, this movie 1 did a great job of setting everything up, and Rurouni Kenshin 2, Kyoto Inferno, I personally think it did a great job of being bigger and better than the first movie. This one is very good. I read a review somewhere where it said, this is an example of how to do a sequel right, and it really, really is. Of course, this introduces the main villain of Shishio, friggin' demon assassin, like the villains in the first movie, as big and bad as they were, they were just the warm-up for what's going to follow, you know. Because this guy, Shishio, from the minute you see him, he's terrifying because, of course, he was burnt alive and survived miraculously. And so, of course, he's wandering around now all burned but wrapped in bandages. He looks terrifying. He looks completely demonic. You are creeped out and intimidated by this guy. He is frightening. You know, so you buy the menace of this guy instantly. You see him within the first 5 minutes of this second movie starting. You see him. Sato has a run-in with him. Yeah, and from the moment you see him, you buy that this guy is very, very dangerous and evil. Very, very evil. Because, yeah, like I say, obviously the premise of film 2 is Shishio, the clue's in the title, he's planning on burning Kyoto to the ground. He's planning on destroying the entire country because, of course, he was an assassin for the new government. The story goes he replaced Kenshin apparently as the top assassin, and apparently he was supposed to be bigger and badder than what Kenshin was, you know. If Kenshin was the Terminator, then Shishio is the T-1000, you know. He's like, so Kenshin's Arnie and Shishio's Robert Patrick, you know, he's the next model up, basically. So that's all well and good, but then of course the government betrayed Shishio and tried to kill him, you know, and obviously failed, and obviously Shishio's back wanting revenge, and it's up to Kenshin to stop him. Easier said than done. But yeah, this movie is just as fantastic. It's just as well done. I think things get even darker in this movie. They really do. But yeah, I've heard people criticise this movie, saying that it's overlong, and they're talking. It sounds as though they're complaining that this even being a trilogy. I don't know why. This movie, Rurouni Kenshin's got more right to be a trilogy than The Hobbit did. But I don't know why. We're only 2 films in, and there's complaints that this series has quote-unquote outstayed its welcome. I disagree. I'm psyched for the 3rd movie. I think a trilogy I'd be happy if they made more films, but I think obviously trilogy's nice, you know, Lord of the Rings trilogy, the original Star Wars trilogy, now we have the Rurouni Kenshin trilogy. 3's a nice number. Obviously, unfortunately, the Die Hard franchise didn't think so, but that's not for here. Yeah. But this movie is very good. Kyoto Inferno is very good. The action sequence at the end, like the battle to save Kyoto, things get out of control, as I thought may happen. Everything just breaks down. There's fights going on left, right and centre. Kyoto, you know, the battle for Kyoto, what the hell's going to happen? Kenshin and Sato are taking out guys left, right and centre. Sanosuke shows up again with his massive broadsword used for cutting down horses, wiping guys out. And speaking of, yes, going back to this, Kamikaru and Yahiko. Now the thing about film 1 is, of course, they were only being introduced in that movie, but one thing which was a shame was they didn't get that much to do in terms of action. Now, of course, in the anime, they are very much involved in a lot of the action. This movie remedies that, because Kamikaru and Yahiko, they are there in the battle for Kyoto, and yeah, they're taking out guys, they're taking out tons of guys. Yahiko, it does really well in the fight, you know, all things considered, so he does really well. Kamikaru, she's taking out guys she's taking out dozens of guys, because there's this bit where she activates God mode effectively, because she loses, because she's fighting with this this long staff. She loses it, so she's effectively unarmed against, I think, about half a dozen guys, and anyway she just like using objects that are just nearby, like the last guy, she just picks up this box off the ground and just breaks it over the guy's back. So much win. She's awesome. Yeah, she doesn't need. Yeah, she can take you on with a bare hand. Kaoru, she's awesome. Yeah, so it was nice to see Kaoru and Yahiko get involved in the action in this one. But yeah, again, the effort is still there. Like all the effort that was in the first movie, all the great love and care that's went into the production designs, the look of these movies, the cinematography is fantastic. These films are beautiful films to look at. Of course, it being filmed over in Japan, the locations are beautiful, the scenery is lovely, the costumes and props are pristine. Honestly, these movies need to be watched in Blu-ray. Don't settle for the DVDs. Get these movies in Blu-ray, on Blu-ray rather. I can't wait for film 3, right? I don't know if it's going to get a cinema release around here, but I'll certainly be getting the Blu-ray as soon as it comes out. Of course, there's no release date announced for the UK Blu-ray yet. I know obviously it's out, all 3 films are out in Japan now. I know Germany at the end of this month is getting the full box set on Blu-ray, so hopefully we won't be that far behind. I hope to God we're not, because the way film 2 ends, film 2 of course has a cliffhanger ending, because of course the way this works is, Rurouni Kenshin was made as its own movie. I think there were plans when they were making this to make maybe a trilogy, but of course it was all based on how well this movie did. This movie did well, to say the least. This movie did very well, and it wasn't much of a surprise. And so, that meant more movies. And of course, the way it works is, films 2 and 3 were shot simultaneously, because they're effectively a 2-part sequel to the first film. So, yeah. We need this movie. Yeah, come on, don't leave us hanging. I mean, this movie, it was great, and I've got to say, I was a lot less mad at the cliffhanger in this movie than the cliffhanger at the end of the second Hobbit movie, but I still cannot wait to see Rurouni Kenshin 3, The Legend Ends. But yeah, just to recap, sorry, I don't want to, I've decided to move away from doing those kind of reviews where I actually talk through the movie. I want to talk more about the movie and give a basic premise of what the movie's about, rather than do a complete, a complete walkthrough of the movie, or a talk through the movie. But yeah, I can't say enough good things about these movies. These movies, I genuinely think they are my favourite adaptation of the story. I do enjoy reading the books, I enjoy watching the anime, but there's something about these live action movies. I think what it is, it's just the amount of effort that's gone into them, the production values, the acting, the writing. They've done well, right, to condense everything into this trilogy in order to incorporate all the different storylines. They've done that well, because 26 books in 3 movies, I don't know how you'd go about doing that. I really don't. But yeah, I think, of course, I think all 3 movies are pretty much the same in terms of the running time. They're all like around the 2-hour 15 mark, and they need to be. These movies, certainly, obviously films 1 and 2 I can only speak for. These 2 movies do not drag. the pacing of them is very good. So I think, yeah, so that is another great. It's something that can be very important to how good or bad a movie is. Not the how long it's on for, the running time of the movie, because it's important that the film isn't overlong. You don't want it to drag. If your movie is more than 2 hours long, you need to keep it going. You need a good pace, and these two movies, in my opinion, have that. But yeah, spectacular films, spectacular action sequence. Another one final thing. Actually, that's not quite true. I've got to say, before we get to the final thing, the penultimate thing, I guess, is the music of these movies, especially the second one. The theme song they've got for Shishio's character, this huge orchestral piece, it is phenomenal. And there was some nice, just the music in both movies so far has been so well done. It's really, really worked. Yeah, so the music is very well done, and of course the music isn't important. It's something that should be talked about, how good the music is, because it's very important to the film. It's used right, I think. The music is used well, it's used correctly. Yeah, music score in these movies is very well done. And I think I've got to say as well, another reason why these movies have been as good as they have been and their standard has been maintained is that I think obviously they've kept the same cast and crew throughout all of them pretty much, and I think that is important to make it when you're making a good, if you're gonna make a good series, you've got to have the same cast and crew for all of them to keep continuity and to keep to maintain that feel. When a movie has a certain feel to it, it's ineffable. I think it's difficult to put into words, but when a movie has a particular feel, that it's very natural. Like, you can't force it. It just naturally has that particular feel. When you watch it, you think that can never be recaptured, but it's just something that happened at that particular time in that particular place with those particular people. It happened at that moment. It's the closest thing you can get to capturing lightning in a bottle. Capturing magic. It's that feel that a certain movie has. For me, The Ice Storm has it. Forever Young has it. And these movies, Rurouni Kenshin, have it, and I think a lot of it can be accredited to, certainly where trilogy is concerned, keeping the same cast and crew involved, and also that'll make sure that the people involved have that same love and passion for what they're doing. Yeah, but yeah. And now I would like to come to my final thing in relation to the second movie, because I've talked about who my favourite hero is, Sato Hajime, but I want to talk about my favourite villain who comes into it in movie 2. It's Sojiro, who is Shishio's assassin, right-hand man, who he sends out, whenever he wants someone taken care of. Sojiro, now, he's very cute, he's very hot, and he's very adorable, but he is also very, very dangerous. Completely unassuming, but very, very dangerous. You do not want to fight this guy, because if you do, he will kill you, right? There's a scene in film 2, a beautifully done scene, where he and Kenshin have a fight, and I think that is my favourite part. My favourite part of film 2 is the fight between Kenshin and Sojiro. It's so well done. Yeah, but he is my favourite villain, I think, Sojiro. But I love him. I'd love to see I'd love to see him and Sato throw down. You never know, we might get to see that in the third movie. I'm not sure actually if it happens in the anime TV show, but then again they have 96 episodes. It's enough to see that happen. We have only one film left, you know, we've got to, and there's plenty of stuff to still cover by the looks of it in the last movie. So really excited for The Legend Ends. I can't wait. And that pretty much wraps this up. I just wanted to talk in general about these two movies. I really do have a lot of love for both of these movies, and I'm so excited for the last one. I really am. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this review. I hope you've agreed with some of the points that I've made, and yeah, I hope, of course, if you guys are going to be watching the if you decide to watch this this live action series for the first time, or if you're already a fan of the live action series, and if you're getting ready to watch the last movie, I hope you guys enjoy it. But thanks for watching this review, and thanks for sticking with me, and I will see you all next time. Thank you, everyone.